Commander Park Jun stepped into the massive council chamber aboard the space station orbiting Kepler Prime. The room buzzed with tension as representatives from dozens of alien species filled the curved amphitheater. Holographic displays flickered round the central platform, showing star charts that made even seasoned space travelers nervous. The dead zone stretched across 3 solar systems like a cancerous wound in space. Park Jun had heard whispers about it during his years commanding human exploration vessels, but seeing the data firsthand sent chills down his spine. The radiation signatures were unlike anything in the galactic database. Admiral Vextar, standing nearly 3 meters tall with his crystalline blue skin gleaming under the chamber lights, gestured toward the main display. His forearms moved in precise patterns as he spoke, each gesture emphasizing the gravity of their situation. "Observe the timeline," Vextar announced, his voice echoing through translation devices. The Corvani Empire lost contact with Relay Station Alpha exactly 47 standard days ago. Their rescue fleet arrived 6 hours later, only to find their ship's systems failing one by one. The hologram shifted, showing sleek Corvani vessels drifting helplessly as their advanced propulsion systems flickered and died. Park Jun watched crew members in environmental suits desperately trying to restart their engines before emergency beacons activated. The Threnody Collective attempted their own mission 12 days later. Vextar continued. Their biomechanical technology proved equally useless. Even their living ships began shutting down neural pathways to protect themselves. A low murmur rippled through the assembled delegates. The Threnody were known throughout the galaxy for their ability to adapt to any environment. Their ships literally evolved to handle new challenges. If they failed, what hope did anyone else have? Park Jun studied the tactical displays floating around him. The radiation readings showed patterns that reminded him of solar flares, but amplified beyond anything natural. Whatever was causing this phenomenon operated on a scale that defied conventional physics. "The economic impact grows daily," declared Councillor Reshka, her insectoid features clicking as she spoke. "Trade routes through that sector carry 40% of our rare mineral shipments. Without those relays, entire colonies face resource shortages within weeks." The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Representatives from mining worlds, agricultural planets, and manufacturing hubs voiced their concerns simultaneously. The translation systems struggled to keep up with the overlapping conversations. Park Jun noticed something the others had missed, while everyone focused on the failed rescue attempts. The radiation data showed subtle variations, patterns within patterns. His years studying stellar phenomena during humanity's expansion into deep space had taught him to look for such details. "Commander Park," Admiral Vextar addressed him directly, "your species has gained recognition for unconventional problem-solving approaches. However, this challenge has defeated our most advanced civilizations." The chamber fell silent. Every alien eye turned toward the lone human representative. Park Jun felt the weight of their expectations, but also sensed their skepticism. Humans were still relatively new to galactic politics, having achieved faster-than-light travel only decades after species like the Alterians had been exploring space for millennia. "What makes you believe humans can succeed where others have failed?" asked Dr. Yilmuth, a slug-like creature whose species had developed technology capable of manipulating matter at the atomic level. Park Jun stepped closer to the holographic display, his boots clicking against the polished metal floor. He touched the control interface, zooming in on specific radiation readings that caught his attention. "Sometimes being new has advantages," he replied calmly. "We don't have preconceptions about what should or shouldn't work." Behind him, the massive viewport showed his vessel, the Soul Wanderer, docked at the station's berthing facility. The ship looked crude compared to the elegant alien vessels surrounding it. Where other races favored smooth curves and exotic materials, human ships were built like flying fortresses, designed to withstand punishment rather than avoid it. Admiral Vextar's expression shifted to something resembling curiosity. "Explain your approach." "My engineer Kim Hanna specializes in adaptive systems. My technician Li Wu has experience with radiation shielding from our early asteroid mining operations. We've learned to work with whatever tools we have available." Several alien delegates exchanged glances. The concept of making do with limited resources was foreign to species who had perfected their technology over thousands of years. "The risks are enormous," Vextar warned. "If your mission fails, we lose not only the relays, but potentially your crew as well." Park Jun looked round the chamber one final time. Desperate faces from dozens of worlds stared back at him. Cargo ships waited in orbit, loaded with supplies that couldn't reach their destinations. Families on remote colonies were rationing food and medicine. His communicator buzzed with an incoming message from Kim Hanna aboard the Soul Wanderer. Her voice crackled through the device with barely contained excitement. "Commander, I've been analyzing the radiation data from here. I think I know why their technology keeps failing. The patterns suggest we might have a real shot at this." Park Jun smiled slightly, feeling the familiar surge of confidence that came before humanity's greatest achievements. Throughout their history, humans had thrived when facing impossible odds. "We'll take the mission," he stated simply. "Engineer." Kim Hanna wiped sweat from her forehead as she examined the twisted remains of Corvani technology spread across her workbench. The Soul Wanderer's workshop hummed with activity as diagnostic scanners beeped and whirred round the alien equipment. What had once been elegant crystalline circuits now looked like melted glass sculptures. Their rainbow surfaces dulled and cracked. "Look at this mess," she muttered, picking up a fragment that had once controlled faster-than-light communication rays. The crystal felt warm to the touch, still radiating residual energy from whatever had destroyed it. "These circuits are more complex than anything we've ever built." But they turned to junk in minutes. Li Wu stood at the opposite end of the workshop, sorting through containers of human-made components. His calloused hands moved efficiently as he organized copper wiring, steel sheets, and basic electronic parts that looked ancient compared to alien technology. The materials seemed almost embarrassing next to the sophisticated remnants scattered round them. "The Alterians sent us technical specifications for their quantum processors," Lee said, holding up a data pad. "Each one contains more computing power than our entire ship's computer system. But look what happened to them." He gestured toward a pile of what had been cutting-edge quantum cores. The exotic matter chambers had collapsed inward, creating twisted metal sculptures that resembled abstract art more than functional technology. Whatever radiation lurked in the dead zone had torn apart molecular bonds that should have been impossible to break. Kim Hanna activated her personal scanner and ran it over the damaged equipment. The readings made her frown as she noticed patterns. In the destruction, the most advanced components had failed first, while simpler backup systems had lasted slightly longer before succumbing to the mysterious forces. "Interesting," she whispered, making notes on her tablet. "The more sophisticated the technology, the faster it died." 3 alien observers stood near the workshop entrance, watching the human preparations with barely concealed skepticism. Dr. Veltana, a Zephyrian scientist with pale blue skin and large black eyes, shook her head as she observed Li Wu's collection of primitive materials, copper wiring. She asked in disbelief. "Our ancestors abandoned such crude methods thousands of years ago. Your species still uses these relics." Kim Hanna looked up from her work, a slight smile playing across her lips. "Sometimes old methods work when new ones fail. My grandfather was an electronics repair technician back on Earth. He always said that simple circuits are harder to break because there's less to go wrong. the second observer. A robotic entity called Unit X9 from the Synthetic Collective extended sensor rays toward the human materials. Its mechanical voice buzzed with confusion as it analyzed the basic components. These materials register as primitive by galactic standards. Unit X9 announced, efficiency ratings are significantly below acceptable parameters for space-grade equipment. Li Wu chuckled as he began stripping insulation from copper wire. Efficiency isn't everything. Sometimes you need equipment that's too stubborn to quit. Kim Hannah pulled out a designed tablet and began sketching rough schematics. Her drawings showed bulky devices with thick shielding and redundant systems, completely different from the elegant alien technology. She incorporated lessons learned from humanity's early space exploration, when astronauts had to fix critical systems using whatever materials they could find. The radiation out there seems to target complex quantum states first, she explained, while drawing. It's like it's specifically designed to disrupt advanced technology. But what if we build something so simple that there's nothing complex for it to disrupt? The third observer, Commander Korath from the Draconian fleet, leaned forward with interest. His reptilian features showed curiosity despite his natural skepticism about human capabilities. Explain your theory, Korath requested, his forked tongue flaking out to taste the air. Kim Hannah stood and walked to the main display screen. Pulling up radiation analysis data from the failed missions, colorful graphs showed energy signatures that spiked whenever they encountered sophisticated technology. Look at these patterns, she said, pointing to specific spikes. The radiation responds to quantum field fluctuations and exotic matter interactions. It's like it feeds on advanced technology, but basic electromagnetic circuits, old-fashioned transistors, there's nothing fancy there for it to attack. Li Wu had begun assembling the first prototype device while Kim Hannah spoke. His hands moved with practiced precision as he connected simple components using techniques that hadn't changed much since humanity's industrial age. The device looked clunky and primitive, but every connection was solid and reliable. This is your solution? Dr. Viltana asked incredulously. A collection of ancient components held together with metal wires, sometimes the best solutions. Other ones nobody expects, Kim Hannah replied, testing connections with a basic multimeter. Every species in the galaxy has spent centuries perfecting their technology, making it more elegant and efficient. But what if that perfection became a weakness? The workshop fell silent except for the gentle hum of ventilation systems and the occasional beep from diagnostic equipment. Kim Hannah and Li Wu continued their work, assembling devices that looked like museum pieces compared to standard galactic technology. Unit X9 sensors whirred as it processed the implications of the human approach. Probability calculations suggest this strategy has merit. Simplified systems present fewer failure points for exotic radiation to exploit. Commander Korath's eyes narrowed as he watched the humans work. Your species survived and thrived. A hostile world using such methods. Perhaps there's wisdom in your primitive approaches. Dr. Viltana remained unconvinced. This cannot possibly work against forces that destroyed our most advanced systems. Kim Hannah looked up from her prototype. Meeting the alien scientist's gaze directly. That's exactly why it might work. The shuttle Independence detached from the Soul Wanderer with a metallic clang that echoed. Through the hull, Park June gripped the manual flight controls, feeling the familiar weight of real steering mechanisms rather than the thought-controlled interfaces that other species preferred. Through the viewport, the dead zone stretched ahead like a wall of shimmering energy that bent starlight into twisted patterns. All systems green, Li Wu reported from his station, his fingers dancing across analog switches and physical dials. The control panel looked like something from humanity's early space age. complete with actual buttons that clicked when pressed. Radiation shielding is holding steady. Backup power cells are fully charged. Kim Hannah hunched over her collection of improvised instruments, watching readouts on small screens that flickered with basic graphics. Her equipment looked like a mad scientist's experiment compared to the sleek holographic displays found. On alien vessels, copper wires snaked between, jury-rigged components held in place with metal clips and electrical tape. Approaching the outer boundary, Park Jun announced as the shuttle's nose pierced the edge of the radiation field immediately. Their basic sensors began registering energy levels that should have been impossible. The very fabric of space seemed to pulse with malevolent force. Behind them, the alien observation ships maintained a safe distance, their crews watching through powerful telescopes. Admiral Vextar's voice crackled through the communication system, slightly distorted by the growing interference. Independence. We're reading massive energy spikes around your position. Are your systems still functional? All green here, Park. June replied, checking his instruments. The shuttle's engines continued their steady hum, showing no signs of the failures that had plagued alien vessels. Whatever's out here doesn't seem interested in our old-fashioned tech. Kim Hannah's homemade. Sensors began picking up patterns that made her eyes widen with excitement. While sophisticated alien equipment had been overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of the radiation, her simple instruments could focus on basic energy signatures without getting confused. Commander, look at this, she called out, pointing to a crude oscilloscope display. Green lines traced across the screen in repeating patterns that resembled ocean waves. The radiation isn't random. It's following a cycle, like a heartbeat. Liu leaned over to examine the readings, his maintenance experience helping him interpret the data. Frequency modulation every 47 seconds. It's like the whole field is breathing. As they penetrated deeper into the zone, the radiation intensity increased dramatically. Through the viewport, they could see the ghostly remains of alien rescue ships drifting in the void. A massive Corvani cruiser hung motionless, its bioluminescent hull dim and lifeless. Smaller vessels from various species floated nearby like metallic corpses, their crews long since evacuated by emergency beacons. This is like a starship graveyard, Park Jun muttered, carefully navigating round the derelict vessels. Some showed signs of hasty abandonment, with cargo bay doors still open and escape pods missing from their launch bays. Kim Hannah's instruments detected something that made her gasp. Commander, I'm picking up power signatures from those dead ships, very faint. But they're still there. The radiation didn't destroy their power cores. It just shut down their control systems. Meaning what exactly? Liu asked, monitoring their own power levels carefully. Meaning those ships might be recoverable once we figure out how to protect them, Kim Hannah replied, making notes on her tablet. The radiation targets complex systems, but basic power generation seems to survive. The shuttle pushed forward through increasingly hostile space. Outside, the radiation created roar-like displays that painted the darkness in sheets of green and purple light. Beautiful but deadly. The energy patterns danced across their hull like living creatures trying to find a way. Inside, 30 minutes. In and we're still flying, Park Jun announced with satisfaction. Those alien ships never made it past 15 minutes. Their simple communication system crackled with transmissions from the observation fleet. Alien voices expressed amazement and confusion as they watched the human vessel continue deeper into the Zone T. Hardly anyone had managed before. Independence. This is Admiral Vextar. Our sensors show you approaching the first relay station. Are you certain your equipment can handle the increased radiation levels? Kim Hannah checked her instruments. Watching the needle gauges climb steadily higher. We're reading massive energy build up ahead. But our shielding is holding. The radiation seems to be coming from the relay station itself, through the viewport. The massive structure gradually became visible through the energy haze. Relay station Alpha was a testament to alien engineering. Its crystalline towers and flowing organic curves designed to channel hyperspace energy across vast distances. But now it hung dark and silent, its elegant surfaces scarred by the same forces that had destroyed the rescue fleets. "There she is," Park Jun whispered. Bringing the shuttle to a relative stop several kilometers from the station, the first relay station, size of a small moon and more advanced than anything humans have ever built. The structure defied easy description. Part crystal, part metal, part something that might have been alive once. It stretched across space like a frozen cathedral. Towers spiraled upward in impossible geometries, while energy conduits traced patterns that hurt to look at directly. Even dead, it radiated a sense of power that made the small human shuttle seem insignificant. Radiation levels are off the charts, Liu reported, his voice tight with concentration. But our systems are still stable. Whatever this field is, it really doesn't care about our primitive tech. Kim Hanna's improvised sensors were going crazy, detecting energy patterns that her simple equipment could barely process. "Commander, the radiation is definitely coming from the station itself. Something inside is generating this field, and it's been building for weeks. Any ideas what might cause something like this?" Park Jun asked, beginning the delicate approach to the station's docking bay. "Not yet," Kim Hanna admitted, watching her instruments carefully. "But I'm starting to think this isn't an accident. This field is too organized, too purposeful. It's like the station is protecting itself from something." The massive structure loomed larger as they approached, its dead surfaces reflecting the shuttle's lights in strange ways. Docking ports designed for alien vessels stretched before them. But Park Jun spotted a universal maintenance hatch that looked compatible with human equipment. "Relay station in sight," he announced, beginning approach. Kim Hanna sealed her helmet and checked the pressure readings on her bulky environmental suit. And like the sleek alien spacesuits with their molecular thin barriers and built-in force fields, her equipment looked like something from humanity's first moon landing. Thick layers of reinforced fabric, redundant life support systems, and manual controls that could function even if the electronic components failed. Suit pressure nominal, oxygen supply full, all systems green, she reported through the old-fashioned radio transmitter. The signal crackled with static, but it remained clear and reliable. Liu's voice came through her earpiece from the shuttle. "Copy that, Hannah. I've got your bio readings on my screen. Heart rate's a bit elevated, but that's normal for EVA operations through the shuttle's airlock window." Park Jun gave her a thumbs up before she stepped into the vacuum of space. The magnetic boots in her suit activated with a satisfying clunk, allowing her to walk along the shuttle's hull toward the massive relay station. The structure loomed before her like a crystalline mountain, its surfaces reflecting the distant stars in patterns that seemed to shift and move. Energy still coursed through its alien architecture, visible as faint glowing lines that pulsed with the same rhythm Kim Hanna's instruments had detected. "First observation," she said, pulling herself along a maintenance cable toward the station service hatch. "The radiation isn't actually damaging the structure itself. It's like the station is generating this field intentionally." Her toolkit floated beside her, tethered by a simple cord inside the sealed container. Rolls of copper wire, basic transistors, and hand tools waited for use. Everything had been tested in vacuum chambers and radiation fields back on Earth, proving their reliability in the harshest conditions. The service hatch opened with surprising ease, revealing a tunnel lined with conduits and access panels. Emergency lighting still functioned, casting eerie shadows as Kim Hanna pulled herself inside. The tunnel was designed for maintenance robots, but human proportions allowed her to navigate through the narrow space. I'm inside the station. She reported the emergency systems were still active. Whatever happened here, it wasn't a complete power failure. Li Wu's instruments back on the shuttle detected her progress through the station's interior. I'm tracking your position. You're approaching the main control center. Radiation levels are spiking value, but your suit's shielding is holding. The control center took Kim Hanna's breath away. Crystalline consoles stretched in all directions, their surfaces covered with alien symbols that pulsed with internal light. Holographic displays flickered weakly, showing system diagnostics in languages she couldn't read. But the overall picture was clear. Every major system had shut down to protect itself from the radiation field. "This is incredible," she whispered, examining the alien technology. "Look at this craftsmanship. Every circuit is a work of art. But therein lies the problem." She pulled out her scanner and began analyzing the failed systems. The quantum processors were so sophisticated that they had detected the radiation field's chaotic nature and immediately shut down to prevent damage. The bioneural networks had gone into hibernation mode. Even the backup systems had recognized the threat and disabled themselves. The station's own safety protocols are keeping it offline. Kim Hanna explained to Li Wu, "The alien technology is too smart for its own good. It's trying to protect itself instead of adapting to the new conditions," opening her toolkit. She began pulling out components that looked primitive by comparison. Basic circuit boards, simple microprocessors, and analog control systems that had been standard technology when humans first reached their own moon. "What's your plan?" Park Jun asked through the communication link. "I'm going to install a parallel control system," Kim Hanna replied, already identifying access points where she could tap into the station's power grid. "Something so simple that it won't trigger the safety protocols. The alien systems can stay in hibernation while my jury-rigged controls get the basic functions running." She began the delicate work of splicing her crude electronics into the elegant alien architecture. Copper wires snaked between crystalline conduits, held in place with metal clamps and electrical tape. Her basic processors couldn't match the sophistication of alien quantum computers, but they could handle simple tasks like opening communication channels and activating emergency beacons. "Hannah, I'm seeing power fluctuations throughout the station," Li Wu reported. "Something's responding to your modifications." "Good sign," she replied, connecting another circuit. "The alien systems are recognizing my equipment as maintenance hardware. They're not seeing it as a threat." Hours passed as Kim Hanna worked her way through the station's critical systems. Each repair required creative solutions, bypassing complex alien controls with simple human alternatives. Her basic radio transmitter replaced quantum communication rays. Mechanical switches took over for thought-controlled interfaces. Analog sensors substituted for sophisticated detection equipment. The breakthrough came when she realized the radiation field's true nature. Her simple instruments revealed what the advanced alien sensors had missed. The field wasn't chaotic at all. It followed complex but predictable patterns, like a three-dimensional musical composition written in energy. "Lee, are you getting this data?" she asked, uploading readings from her basic scanner. "Affirmative. The patterns are beautiful, like mathematical poetry." The alien systems couldn't handle it because they were trying to process every nuance, Kim Hanna explained, making final connections to the main power grid. "But my simple equipment just rides the waves instead of trying to analyze them." Her improvised control system came online with a series of satisfying clicks and beeps. One by one, the station's basic functions began responding to her crude but effective commands. Emergency lighting brightened throughout the structure. Communication rays started transmitting again. Most importantly, the hyperspace relay began. Its activation sequence, power coupling established, she announced, initiating relay startup sequence. Through the station's viewports, she could see the massive energy collectors beginning to move. Ancient mechanisms designed by alien engineers awakened from their forced slumber, guided by human electronics that didn't know enough to be intimidated by the task. The relay's central core blazed to life, casting brilliant light across the surrounding space. Energy patterns that had been chaotic and destructive suddenly organized themselves into the focus beam needed for hyperspace communication. Relay coming online, Kim Hanna reported. Watching her simple gauges register full power. We've got communications, navigation, and full hyperspace relay function. The station is back in business. From the shuttle, Li Wu and Park Jun watched in amazement as the massive structure transformed from dark metal sculpture to blazing beacon of civilization. The radiation field, instead of being eliminated, had been tamed and channeled into useful energy. Outstanding work, Hannah, Park Jun said. You've done something here that the entire Galactic Council thought was impossible. Kim Hanna smiled inside her helmet as she began packing up her tools. Sometimes the best solutions are the ones that don't try to be perfect. The council chamber erupted in amazed chatter as status displays throughout the room blazed with green indicators. Representatives from dozens of worlds watched in stunned silence as the three relay stations that had been dead for months suddenly showed full operational status. The holographic star map displayed communication beams stretching across 3 solar systems, carrying messages and data that had been blocked for weeks. Admiral Vextar stood frozen before the main display, his fur crystalline arms trembling slightly as he processed what he was seeing. The Alterian had commanded galactic engineering projects for over 2 centuries, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for this moment. Impossible, whispered Dr. Veltana. Her pale blue skin flushed with disbelief. The radiation levels in that sector should have destroyed any technology within hours. Yet these readings show the relays are not just functional, but operating at 112% efficiency. Park Jun stood calmly in the center of the chamber, still wearing his simple work uniform, while surrounded by aliens in elaborate ceremonial robes. The sole wanderer floated outside the viewport, looking crude and battered next to the sleek vessels of the Galactic Fleet. Commander Park, Admiral Vextar began, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. Your repair work is not only functional, but our monitoring stations show it's more stable than our original systems. How is this possible? Park Jun exchanged glances with Kim Hanna and Li Wu, who had joined him for the debriefing. Both engineers looked tired but satisfied, their hands still dirty from working with basic tools and simple materials, sometimes the old ways. Work best, Park Jun replied respectfully. My team didn't try to fight the radiation field. Instead, we worked with it, using technology simple enough to adapt rather than sophisticated enough to break. Counselor Reshka clicked her mandibles in amazement as she studied the technical reports streaming across her console. The humans bypassed our quantum processes entirely. Using what they call analog circuits, their repair work actually channels the mysterious radiation into useful energy. The chamber buzzed with excited discussions as alien scientists tried to understand how primitive human technology had succeeded where their most advanced systems had failed. Holographic displays showed Kim Hanna's improvised circuits working, alongside alien engineering, creating hybrid systems that were stronger than either could achieve alone. Unit X9, the synthetic representative, extended sensor rays toward the data streams. Analysis confirmed that human modifications have increased relay efficiency beyond original design parameters. The crude materials they used created unexpected resonance patterns with the radiation field. Dr. Ayilmuth, the slug-like scientist, oozed forward with obvious excitement. This changes everything we know about advanced engineering. Perhaps sophistication isn't always the answer. Kim Hanna stepped forward, holding a data pad containing her repair notes. With respect, Doctor, we didn't replace your technology. We just gave it away to work safely. Your systems are still handling the complex calculations and energy management. Our simple circuits just provide basic control interfaces that the radiation field ignores. The implications of her words sent ripples of understanding through the chamber. Human technology hadn't conquered alien engineering. It had created a partnership where both approaches complemented each other's strengths. Admiral Vextar activated his personal communication device, speaking rapidly in the flowing Alterian language. Within moments, responses came flooding back from across the galaxy. Emergency situations that had been deemed impossible suddenly seemed manageable. Commander Park, the Admiral announced formally. I have just received urgent requests from 12 different sectors, ancient orbital stations that have been offline for decades, mining facilities in radiation-rich asteroid fields that our technology cannot approach, deep space research outposts that have been abandoned because of energy field interference. Wu grinned as he realized what the Admiral was suggesting. You want human engineering teams to tackle the impossible jobs, not just want. Counselor Reshka declared, her insectoid features showing what might have been a smile. The Galactic Council formally requests human assistance with engineering challenges that have defeated conventional approaches. Park Jun felt a surge of pride as he looked round the chamber. Representatives from species thousands of years older than humanity were asking for help, not out of desperation, but out of recognition that different approaches could solve different problems. We accept, he said simply, causing another wave of excited chatter throughout the chamber. Over the following weeks, human engineering teams spread across the galaxy like a new form of technological medicine. The abandoned research station near the Crab Nebula came back online when human technicians installed simple backup systems that could function despite intense cosmic radiation. A mining operation in the Vega system resumed production after human engineers created basic control mechanisms that worked in the asteroid field's chaotic magnetic environment. Each success reinforced the same lesson. Sometimes the most elegant solution was also the simplest one. Human technology didn't replace alien engineering. It provided alternatives when conventional approaches failed. Kim Hanna sat in her workshop aboard the Soul Wanderer, now designated as the flagship of the newly formed Human Engineering Corps. Data pads scattered across her workbench showed requests from across the galaxy, orbital habitats that needed basic repair work, communication rays that required simple backup systems, energy collectors that needed crude but reliable control mechanisms. Look at this, she said to Li Wu, holding up a message from the far rim of the galaxy. They want us to repair a terraforming station that's been offline for 50 years. The radiation from the local star keeps frying their quantum processors. Li Wu laughed as he sorted through containers of copper wire, steel plating, and basic semiconductors, materials that had become precious commodities in a galaxy obsessed with sophisticated technology. Good thing we brought plenty of the old-fashioned stuff, he said, patting a crate of simple transistors. Looks like the universe has been waiting for someone stubborn enough to use century-old technology in space-age problems. Park Jun entered the workshop carrying new assignment. Orders from the Galactic Council. His expression showed a mixture of pride and amazement as he looked at the list of impossible tasks that were now considered routine human specialties. 12 more requests came in this morning, he announced, including one from the Draconian fleet. They need help with a battleship that keeps losing power whenever it enters certain energy fields. Kim Hanna smiled as she read through the new assignments. each one representing another chance to prove that simple solutions could solve complex problems. Looks like we're going to be busy. The Soul Wanderer adjusted course toward the first of many destinations, carrying human engineers and their primitive tools toward challenges that the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had declared impossible behind them. The relay stations continued transmitting messages across the stars, their elegant alien architecture now guided by simple human electronics that refused to quit. The E&D